All right, John, let's dive into fall camp. Of course, everyone wants answers and they want them immediately, and they think the media has all the answers, but you
Oh,
guys
we
only
do.
get.
I do. I got all the answers. That's why.
You're the one. We would have asked you on here a long, long time ago then, since you're the one, but you only get a glance for 10 or 15 minutes and obviously talk to coaches and players roughly once a week. But your initial impressions about fall camp and maybe what's been accomplished thus far.
Yeah, I think the early impressions are that Oklahoma is bigger. They're transitioning not this year but next year into the SEC. So it's been a kind of a mandate from the strength and conditioning staff, from the head coach, of course, Brent Venables on down, to make these guys bigger. The previous defensive coordinator, for instance, Alex Grinch, he preached a speed defense. He called it Speed D, and he wanted his guys up front light and nimble and able to shoot the gaps and get into the backfield and cause havoc. Well, Jerry Schmidt, the new strength coach, got in. Brent Venables looked around and said, no, we're going to go bigger. So when they got here, when this coaching staff got here, they had one 300-pound defensive lineman. Now they've got five. I'm sure people in the SEC right now are going, oh, that's cute. But it is a step in the right direction. It's an initial step in the right direction that you've got five 300-pounders, specifically on the interior of the defensive line. So that's where they want to go. Another thing that stands out is the youth that's on this team, the young players, the freshmen, and some of the guys who redshirted last year. Those are good players. Watching them play, we got 40 minutes the first practice, I should say the second practice, and 40 minutes, I think, the third or fourth practice, to be able to watch what these guys are doing. And the young guys are ready. The young guys are coming in and they're competing for time. So that's been something that stands out as well.
John, back to the strength and conditioning. So I could go down a number of paths here, and it's not as easy as, oh, well, we'll just work them harder and they're going to lift heavier weights and therefore they're going to get stronger. I just heard a podcast somebody sent me the other day from a few different defensive coordinators in college football that had also worked in the NFL, and they did some studies that there's kind of a sweet spot in regards to bench press, squatting, that just because somebody can squat 1,000,000 pounds doesn't mean that they're NFL ready, that there's a threshold there that if you get too strong, that it's kind of random in terms of diminishing returns, that, obviously there's a strength floor that you need. And then you talk about the speed versus the strength quotient of that, and moving to the SEC, you kind of need both of those to play in that league. So all of it's extremely interesting. And then there's also a theory out there concerning Schmidt's approach that it will ultimately pay off, but maybe that first season, a lot of those guys got kind of torn down and had to be rebuilt in a sense in regards to being used to that type of regiment, and therefore they might have been worn out a little bit last season.
That is something that a lot of people around here, there's a theory that a lot of people subscribe to. The fact that the new strength coach comes in, the new head coach comes in, and the new head coach, when you're training with Lincoln Riley and you step on the treadmill and you're training with Brent Venables, that treadmill's moving at 10. Okay, it's all the way up. He's pushed the button and it's all the way up. I don't know what it was with Lincoln Riley, but I don't think it was at 10. So Venables renowned for a lot more intensity, a lot more directness when it comes to that kind of thing. And then you add the strength coach element into it. You bring in a new strength coach who doesn't do yoga, he doesn't do Pilates, he doesn't do, evenings with mom on the practice field or whatever. Jerry Schmidt, very, very, very intense, very big on the heavy weights, very big on the sand pit in the summer, very big on stadium steps, when it's 112 degrees outside, all that kind of stuff. So guys are, when last season happened and you look at the net result was a 6-7 record, 0-5 in close games. And they faded in the fourth quarter of almost every one of those close games. So what does that tell you? It tells you that that breakdown that occurred, that breakdown, that kind of restructuring of that roster, it wasn't the best thing for year one. They might have done better if there would have been a little bit more of a transition period.
As soon as you made a comment in there talking about guys that have flashed or, a new energy to the fall camp. Peyton Bowen comes to mind as
Yeah.
just a freak athlete that people are excited to see. When you scan this roster, who are some of those guys that you think it's a pretty important camp for, whether they're veteran players or young guys coming in?
Well, it's a huge camp for everybody, literally everybody, because Brent Venables gave us some numbers, and I'll read you a couple of numbers. 97 of their 123 players are in their first or second year at Oklahoma. 97 out of 123. That's the age that we live in with the transfer portal. I looked up some numbers of my own. They have 32 total players who have played previously at other schools, transfers, Division I college football transfers. Okay. 11 of those, 16 of those, I should say, are newcomers this year. And of those, 11 came this spring. So 5 newcomers have arrived since summer. They're still out there mining. They're still out there looking. So what that tells you is there's really no job safe.